Good morning, folks. Thanks so much for joining me here on Wave Now. I'm Myra, and sorry. So today we're talking about something I think we all need to pay attention to, because bad actors, scammers, they are in full force. You probably get emails, you get text messages. They are very sophisticated. They look real. And there's just one thing that they're after. They're after your identity. They're after your money. So let's make that two things. So we want to warn you about things that are going around. So today we are teaming up with Jeremy Hayden with JP Chase. He's Chase's community manager. Thank you so much for being here, Jeremy. So tell us about what you all are seeing. These things that we get make us feel like sometimes we're in trouble. I just got a phone call last week, and I'm not even lying. Someone claiming to be from the sheriff's office, saying that there was a warrant for my arrest because I didn't show up to court and blah, 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 blah. They knew my name and everything. And these folks are pretty good.
They are, yes. And you know, before I answer that, good morning, and thanks so much for having me on with you. And, you know, back to your question, that's what they're trying to achieve, right? Like, that's what they want. They want to scare us. They want to make us nervous. That's the whole point, is to get us stressed, because it's always amazing what our brains do sometimes when we get a little stressed and feeling a little anxious about certain things. We don't always act in our own best interest when those things happen. So that's the whole point.
There's an interesting statistic you all shared with us. According to the FBI, individuals 60 and older, they experienced nearly $4.9 billion in losses to scams in 24. That is a lot of money, a lot of people. But make no mistake, scams are just not something that the older community falls for. It can be anybody. It does not really matter your age.
I 100% agree. We are seeing an alarming rate of scams and fraud happening, you know, throughout social media, throughout online dating, with the love and the lies scams that we're experiencing. And I'll give you a couple other quick stats just from Kentuckians. That number that you just shared is a national number, but in 2024 alone, Kentucky's lost $72 million. And just this year to date in 2025, so far just this year, Kentuckians have lost just over $16 million. So it's hitting very close to home, sure.
Oftentimes, you know, folks who fall for scams, they feel an incredible amount of shame and embarrassment. It's their hard-earned cash just gone. More than likely, there's no way of getting it back. But really, if you come out and talk about it and warn others, you're being brave about it. If you're reporting it, you're being brave about it. If folks, you're joining us in this stream, if you've gotten messages or fallen victim to it, please share it so you let other people know. There's nothing to be ashamed about. It just shows that you trusted somebody, and they took advantage of you. They're the bad people.
Yeah, I love the way you worded that, because that's it. And exactly, is that people who do get frauded and do get scammed, you know, they feel embarrassed. You know, they're embarrassed they're so embarrassed. Their bank might actually be able to help them, but oftentimes they're almost too ashamed to go into the bank and ask for help, because they just can't believe that, you know, they allowed themselves to be taken advantage of. It's a very emotional situation and a very sad one. And to your point, I would just say, you know, stand up and be an advocate. Like, if it happened to you, don't allow it to happen to someone else. Don't allow it to happen to your friend or neighbor or the person you go to church with. You know, stand up and advocate on behalf of others so that it does not happen to anyone else.
Absolutely. You mentioned a lot of times, Jeremy, tell me if I'm right or wrong, a lot of times when money is gone, it can be gone. But are there ways that your bank can help you? Is there a way that JP Chase can help their clients?
Yeah, I wouldn't say all the time, but there are times where, you know, and just speaking on behalf of Chase, I can't speak for other banks, right? But I know that we take the security and the privacy of our clients extremely serious. And a lot of times we're proactive with alerting clients to potential issues and things like that. But if things happen to clients and they lose their money out of their checking accounts, their credit cards, you know, whatever the case is, like, we go to war for our clients. You know, we do everything in our power through the dispute process to get our clients' money back. We take that very, very serious. But there are cases, to your point, that unfortunately, a lot of times, the money is just kind of gone, and there's really not much that anybody can do about it. You can go to the police and the authorities, but a lot of times the scams may have even originated from overseas, right? Pretending to be someone locally, but it came from overseas, which makes it that much harder.
Absolutely. And oftentimes those people are impossible to trace.
Right.
Talk to us about some of the scams that we're seeing. Fake text support messages. Sometimes it says you're you got a toll alert or something, and you're like, well, I haven't crossed a bridge. I don't know what you're talking about. But we see those, your UPS packages that have been on hold or something like that. What are things that are circulating right now that folks should be worried about?
Yeah, so you just touched on a couple of them. Definitely the Amazon text, the UPS text, the Postal Service text saying that there's an issue with your package. Please contact us at this number. Please click this link. And then you go to that link and they're asking you to, verify some information. And that's kind of the scam. I'll tell you something that I have spent so much time over the last 2 weeks talking about is the toll and the driving violation text messages that are going around. People are getting text messages that are saying, hey, you have an unpaid bridge toll. And those texts are very intentional and located due to our locations, because we are in a river city. A lot of people do cross the bridge and do face tolls. So it does have a certain level of relevance to people. And I know people very near and dear to my heart, close to me, who have clicked that and paid money to that. But the other one is the traffic violation. That text message is a bit more aggressive. It's going out saying like they're going to revoke your driver's license. They're going to send the sheriff to your house. Like they're going to be taking immediate action if you do not pay your traffic violation within a certain amount of time. And a lot of people think like, well, why would you allow yourself? But again, getting back to that emotional and that stress piece, like that's what they want. They want to get you stressed so that you have an emotional reaction, and that way it could also lead to you making a decision that's really not your best interest, right?
So walk me through, Jeremy, what happens when I get that message, say on my email or my text message that says, to pay this fine, click here. What happens after that? Because I thankfully never clicked on it because I've always known, okay, that's a scam. But walk me through what that usually looks like if it is a scam.
Yeah, generally you click the link, and generally you're going to be routed to a website, right? Like a payment type of website that it's going to look funky. It's going to be a third-party website. It's not going to have anything to do with like Louisville Metro Police Department or anything like that. It's going to be a non-connected third-party website. It could have also like a weird-looking URL. That's not a .com or a .org. It could have like .co, something that, a lot of people don't pay attention to the lettering in the URLs that could scream like, hey, this is a scam, right? And what I've been telling people to do with these texts is a lot of times if you have an iPhone, I don't necessarily know about Android, but on the iPhone, underneath of the message, you do have the option to delete and report as junk. Mm-hmm. You do have the option to do that, and I would implore people to do that as often as possible. The problem is that then the text message starts coming from different numbers. They start switching it up and making it look different. And one other thing I'll say to that too is if you'll notice the number that it's coming from, typically I've been seeing them coming from like a country code, like where we have 502 as an area code. I've been seeing them coming from different country codes. So that also should be an alert that, hey, this is coming from somewhere that's not legit.
Yeah. We have a comment on Facebook. Nancy Riley says there are a lot of elderly people that believe everything that they hear and see. Yeah, Nancy, I think it's not just elderly people. You're right. It can be everybody. Just because when you think about these folks who are just bad people, this is their job they are really good on it. They are spending all day trying to be as convincing as they can be. And that's what they are spending their time doing. So they can be really convincing, and anybody can really fall for it. So I feel really nervous as we enter the AI world. I don't know about folks out there because, it can be really tricky to figure out what's real, what's not real. Jeremy, talk to me a little bit about the use of generative AI and how that can complicate this.
Yeah, I would completely agree with you around the nervousness. It even makes me nervous, and I feel pretty confident that I'm pretty good at this, right? But AI is wild with the things that it can do. It's both interesting, cool, and scary all in the same segment, right? But kind of back to Nancy's point, elderly people believing things, like that's why AI is taking off in the fraudscape. And I would say, elderly people are falling victims to a lot of that, but it's also young people as well that don't know any better. Some of our younger age people that are on heavy social media users, they're seeing a lot of things out there. They're believing things are something that they're not, right? The biggest piece of advice that I have for people around AI and fraud and scams is to just take a minute and breathe. Just take a second, take a step back, and just kind of talk it through with yourself. And does it make sense? Because a lot of times, like, if things are too good to be true, they often are, right? And also, like, I tell people all the time, like, talk to a trusted friend or family member. Get a third-party opinion. My favorite thing that I tell people to do more often than not is just go to your bank. Just go into your bank, your local credit union, because those people inside of those walls, they have seen it all. I tell people all the time that people inside of our branches, they could write a documentary on this stuff if they wanted to, right? But just take a second to breathe before you react, before you click the link, before you respond. Take a second, hang up the phone, get away from it, ask somebody else, okay?
That is very good advice. I'm glad you said that because some of these people, these scammers, they are using AI technology to create fake images. They are cloning voices. That can be really scary. Say if you get a phone call and you think it's your child, your parent, or somebody's in trouble and they've cloned that voice. That's very scary.
Yeah, that's something we call spoofing. There's a couple other types of that, but spoofing, you can look down, Myra, at your phone, and you can be getting a phone call I'm from a very small town called Baghdad, Kentucky.
Oh yeah.
Proud to be from Baghdad, but like I'll look down on my phone and I'll be having a phone call that's coming from the area code that pops up as Baghdad. So I might answer that thinking that it's a family member from where I'm from, right? Mm-hmm. And then when I'm on the phone, like it could be somebody portraying to be a family member and saying that they've had a medical thing, they've lost their job, they're needing money, can you help me, right? And I'll tell you another one that we're seeing at an alarming rate is people getting phone calls from their actual bank, but it's not in fact their bank. Where you look down at your caller ID and it looks like the number from your bank. So you answer it and they're like, "Hi, Myra, this is Jeremy calling from your bank. There's an issue with your bank account and I have to talk to you about it right now. But before I do, I've got to verify you. Can you give me your social, your date of birth, and your information?" And of course, people have an emotional reaction to that because they're like, "Oh crap, what's wrong with my bank account? My social is da 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 da." And then before you know, the phone goes dead and they got you because that's what they were looking for, right? So just taking a second and just kind of I'm telling people like, "Hey, you know what, Jeremy, thanks so much for calling. I'm happy to talk to you, but I'm going to hang up the phone and I'm going to call you right back, okay? Or I just got out of the shower," just something to call back to verify the legitimacy.
Absolutely. Okay, so what if I did give my social out? What if I did give my credit card information out? And immediately I get that feeling in my stomach, oh crap, I just screwed up big time. What do I do?
Again, I would say that your first steps is to go to your bank, right? Go to your local financial institution, and hopefully they're going to advise you that we probably also need to contact our credit bureaus. There are options where we can contact our 3 national credit bureau companies, our Experian, our Equifax, and our TransUnion. There are things that we can do to freeze our credit reports, to put locks on our credit reports, also put alerts and things like that, we could potentially be a victim of identity theft. We should also probably alert our local authorities because we really want to be proactive about it, even if we think, oh, nothing's going to happen, right? Because it might not happen right now, but it may wait a couple of months down the road when you kind of relaxed and almost forgotten about it.
Mm-hmm. I always think, we work hard for our money, right, Jeremy? Like we work day and night. We put in the days and put in the effort. Don't give it up so quickly. Don't, just think that, as you said, play into that emotion of, oh no, I'm in trouble and I don't want to go further down this hole they say that I'm in. Just stop and breathe and just say, you know what, I'm going to call you back. This is the sheriff's office calling. Let me call you back. Just be smart about it.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. What am I not asking you? This has been a great conversation for our viewers that you think folks need to know about.
You just touched on it. Just breathe. Just take a second because, again, I know I've already mentioned it twice. The whole goal of our scammers is to get us stressed and to get us feeling anxious, and which causes our brains as humans to do some really goofy things that we wouldn't do if we were thinking straight, right? So again, hanging up the phone, whatever excuse you have to figure out to get off the phone, to get away. We have situations where scammers get you on the phone and they almost coach you on what to say and what not to say. People are walking into our banks every day withdrawing money to mail to scammers, and they're on the phone with the scammers, and the scammers are telling them the bank is going to tell you this is a scam, but it's not, right? You just have to take a second to breathe and just to think, because that's the whole point of them, is to get you stressed and to feel like they're in control versus you need to be the one in control.
A lot of times, the thing that you just ran through, saying that they give you a script to make it easier for them. Are bank staff typically trained to look out for those red flags? Okay, I'm seeing Myra walk into the bank every other day and she's withdrawing money consistently and seems panicked. Are bank staff typically trained to say, hey, hold on, what's going on? Let me ask some questions.
We are, absolutely. And it's interesting that sometimes when people are being scammed and we're trying to alert them to the scam by asking questions and things like that, sometimes they even get offended that we're asking the questions. But, your bank is there to not only protect you and to protect your account, right? But the bank is also wanting to protect themselves from loss as well. So there is a mutual interest in protecting you as the client or customer or member, depending on where you bank at. Again, we've seen clients come in and they're on the phone with the scammer, and our goal is trying to just get them to hang up the phone so we can talk to you for a second about what's happening. We see this a lot with our romance scams, to where, people think that they're in relationships with men or women who are on an oil rig in the Gulf of Mexico, and, they're trying to move home and they want to get married, but we need $5,000 of cash in a FedEx envelope and mail it to my sister in Seattle, right?
Yeah.
So you have emotional response to that because you think that, hey, this is a man that I'm in a relationship with. Who are you to tell me I can't send this
I've
money,
told
right?
you my deep, darkest secrets. We've spent so much time on the phone together. I mean, you do feel a connection that seems legit and real, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. This has been really insightful. Jeremy, thanks so much for the tips that you offer to our viewers today. And for folks that are joining us on this stream, in the description section, I've put a link to Chase Bank where you can get some tips and advice on what to do to protect your identity, signs and things that you can be aware of so you don't fall victim to these scams. Thanks again, Jeremy, and thanks for making people feel comfortable and, getting over that barrier, feeling that shame when it comes to this sort of thing, because we are seeing this a lot and it's happening more often than you think. It may happen to somebody they just probably were too embarrassed to tell you.
Yeah, I completely agree, Myra. Thank you for having us. We are, just so you know, we are hosting a an actual fraud and identity theft prevention workshop. We do this work out in the community. It's free for anyone and everyone. We have some coming up in and around the Louisville and Southern Indiana areas. So I would just invite any of your viewers to please stop into any of our local Chase Bank branches and ask for a schedule of some of our upcoming community financial education workshops around fraud and identity theft. They're free to anyone and everyone, regardless of where you bank.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, Jeremy, for all your help today and talking with us. Hey, folks, thanks so much for joining us. Hopefully this helped you. Share it with your friends, your family, put it out there. So you're not only educating yourself, you're educating your friends and your family. I'm Myra Ansari. Have a great day.